Hi, this goes first for Mom. Um, I forgot to point out in my review of Star Trek Specter, Specter, part of the Shatnerverse, which is the timeline of books that William Shatner wrote, that I'd really like to see the golden discontinuity done, and or at least I think I did, in regular Star Trek. I point out that I'd really like to see a lot of this, but I don't that I don't feel this book will ever be filmed, but one can dream. Anyway, needless to say, I hope you enjoy the review. I really enjoyed reading it. I have two other books to review. Not today, obviously, but they are Empire of the Imagination, a biography about Gary Gygax, and Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. You'll find out more about that in the video. Yeah. Enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. Bob here. We are reviewing today Star Trek Specter. And how I'm going to speculate about how I think that the current Star Trek might bring in at least the golden discontinuity. Mom and Dad went up to the store, so I figured it'd be a good time to do a video. Anyway, here we are. Okay, Star Trek Specter brought in one of my favorite things in all of Star Trek, and they did it using one of the most underrated ships in all of Star Trek. I'm talking, of course, about Star Trek Voyager and the Mirror Universe. The Mirror Universe is one of my favorite concepts. I feel that is a mark of a good writer if you can take your story and turn it on its head and still have it look like a story at the end of it. But needless to say, when they brought in Star Trek, when they, damn, I said Star Trek Voyager, just Voyager. I knew some major time travel shenanigans was about to go down, because Voyager, for those who are unaware, are basically the sign of time travel. That ship did more time travel in their season finale than like any other ship since or before them. Yeah. At first, I thought Shatner was going to go against the grain and say that Voyager somehow coming home was a big shift in his timeline. But no, that's not why they might have trouble filming this. They might have trouble filming it because of Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelly's character, and James Doohan's Scotty. Although it was fun to hear Shatner's impersonation of Scotty. I think they might have a hard time filming that part. They could bring in the Vic Mignola timeline, or the Menu for short. You know, the Star Trek Continues timeline. For those of you who don't know what that is, that was introduced to me by a friend of mine. And Vic Mignola is the guy that did the voice for Full Metal Alchemist, but he played Captain Kirk in a fan-made Star Trek. It takes place sort of in its own continuity because of CBS's current rules around fan projects. But at the same time, you could make it its own world. And they did cover the Mirror Universe, and they did a hell of a job too. They could just make that part of the story. They're not going to. They're not going to do any of this. But I think that'd be neat. Because at the end, there was a confrontation between Captain Kirk and Tiberius, the evil Captain Kirk. Which not only would they have to get William Shatner, but they'd have to get like technology enough where he'd do his young double. If this was the last time we saw Captain Kirk, I'd be happy because he just had a kid or is going to have a kid with that lady with Taylani from the more recent book than the prior book. But yeah, I kind of understand why they're leaving it the way it is, open-ended, and crimping little parts of the Shatnerverse. I mean, teeny tiny, minuscule drops of water or leaves on a tree, whichever you prefer. They're just picking and choosing. As I said, I think it would be hard to film this without Scotty, without Bones, and just have Shatner and no Spock, because they have Mirror Universe Spock interact with regular Spock in this. I was ready for it to be jumping the shark material. One of the other YouTubers I watch, he has a much bigger channel than I do. He said that this was the jumping the shark moment. This book right here, the one we're reviewing today. I don't have a physical copy, but that doesn't take away from my point. I don't think it is a jumping the shark moment. I really don't. I think it would be a testament to Star Trek today, and I don't think it's going to happen today. Today's Star Trek is more focused on the Kelvin timeline and the drama that lies therein. I just watched a video about how they're going to do a prequel to the Kelvin timeline, and I'm going to repeat myself and say that I'd love to see Star Trek Specter done, but I don't think technology is quite caught up with it either. So, I love the golden discontinuity. I love the fact that it's like a segment of the. It's like the trail of pollution from us going through. It's the barrier between worlds. It's like that. I liked that Tiberius is trying to build a bigger transporter because transporters can get people through, and he I think kind of succeeds. Don't know. Again, there's a cliffhanger. It's not the most wonderful Star Trek book I've ever read. That is still Star Trek versus X-Men, or meets X-Men, or whatever, Star Trek X-Men. That is still the number one. I'd like to see it. But I, again, don't think that that's going to be. I mean, I've had really, real fun, really quite a lot of real fun looking into this for you guys. And to think it was all spurred on by one little Easter egg in Star Trek Picard. And after looking into it, I have walked away with it being a grander universe than I ever imagined. Star Trek fan fiction. Star Trek. Hang on a minute. Dog's barking. Star Trek fan fiction, Star Trek, there's just a greater branching universe that I didn't even know about, you know? And it wasn't just me alone writing. I I ironically did write a thing about Seven of Nine and Voyager and that whole thing. Never published. I didn't show it to anyone, but um, that was just me blowing off some steam. Um, and unlike my prior DC Marvel thing, I don't intend to do anything with it. It was when I was 13 or 14, somewhere around there, teenage years. It was about Seven of Nine piloting a ship on an asteroid. Now, I'm not going to say anymore, but needless to say, I was happy to see that it ain't just me doing this, that there are actually some pretty famous names that did Star Trek fan fiction and like got paid for it, actually had ideas for Star Trek before the embargo. The no, you can't, to the Axonar debacle. If you know, you know. I was gonna try to explain it, but if you know, you know. And yeah, Seven wasn't really in this book. She was barely mentioned. Tom Paris gets to fight Captain Kirk, which I'd love to see. I'd love to see him fight any iteration of Kirk because Paris would get taken down like 3 pegs. I don't care if it was an alternate version of Tom Paris. Tom Paris fighting Captain Kirk. Kirk wins every day, all day, 3 times a day, with each flavor. Um, did I like it better than I liked the Star Trek? Star Wars. God damn, I'm screwing up today. Did I like it better than I like the Star Wars expanded universe? It's no Zahn trilogy, but it made me want to read the next cliffhanger, or at the very least, the next book. Yeah. Um, I'd love to see Kate Mulgrew, Janeway, interact with some variety of Kirk too, or to turn out that this adventure secretly happened on the down low, and Section 31 is just keeping it. I mean, do it in the Section 31 spinoff. Continue implying that Kirk's having an adventure. I'm fine with that. Have we asked Shatner's grandkids or kids if they'd like to do anything? Just a thought. Um, but I like the interactions between Janeway and Kirk, even if it was just Mirror Universe Janeway. And she escaped from the camps, which were like totally a thing here, and it fits in with the I'm totally on board. It fits in with the whole story of the Shatnerverse, especially now. Revisit the Mirror Universe more than you have Star Trek. That, like I said, it would show skill, but I don't think we're ever going to see the Mirror Universe Michael, Spock's sister, for example. I think, wasn't she killed off? I honestly don't know. I think if they did it now, it would be a fiasco. Anyway, I have these books to do. They're spawns. I have these books to do. I have some Shazams to do. Let me know if you'd like me to review Dark Victory, the next one. Did this review make any sense? Did I ramble too much? Let me know. I've been Bob. This has been my thoughts on Star Trek Specter. Am I underselling a good book? Am I wrong that they totally could do this today despite half the cast being dead and gone? And let me know all these things and more. I've been Bob. This has been The Other World According to Bob. Bob out. Gotta find the mouse.